Hi, this is Howard Galganov on Galganov.com. Actually, it's video on Galganov.com. And it's Friday, and it's June the 24th. And we've just had the results of the EU referendum, and there's no shock, no surprise, not to me, not to most people who use common sense. The shock and surprise seems to be to all of the people on the leftist side. Big business, big corporations, big banks, big investment houses, big labor, big government. These people are shocked. They're surprised that, well, the little people woke up and they saw through, well, all the nonsense that has been killing their societies and their jobs and their families and their values for generations. It's enough. Enough is enough. And you know, after the vote, it's incredible how the left have taken to the streets yelling racism and bigotry and how all this is against Muslims and how all this is against, I don't know what the hell they think it's against. Why is it wrong for Europe, well, not Europe, England, to stand up for English, British values? It's a culture that goes back, well more than 1,000 years. Think about the Magna Carta. It's a British invention. It's led to democracies all over the world. It's led to the United States Constitution. And why should the world feel, or the leftists feel, that England, or the people of England, aren't entitled to decide their own fate? Why should it be some junkheads in Brussels and Belgium telling them how they have to live their lives? Who should be admitted onto British soil? Whether it's someone who's going to bring something of value with them from the country where they're coming, or they're going to bring hatred, they're going to bring misogyny, they're going to bring Sharia law. Who is it to say that the people were wrong? All the elitists? Well, now we see that the stock markets are in free fall, and British sterling is falling, and people are running around like chickens without. Oh, who are the people who are running around with like chickens without their heads? Well, maybe they're the people who the population of England rebelled against. You know, so who's really going to lose? You know, we keep hearing about the stock markets and watching the Dow Jones, and it's falling, and well, who's getting hurt? I realize there's 501ks or 401ks. I realize that there are investments, but think about it. The average guy on the street, whether it's in Canada, the United States, Great Britain, they're not getting hurt. They're already being hurt. Who's getting hurt? It's all the insiders. It's the bureaucrats in Brussels who are all of a sudden going to be without a job. They're not going to have anyone to tell what to do. Imagine that. The people all over Europe who've created this EU monster, people who are unelected, they were appointed, who sit in judgment of Europe every day, sit in judgment of Brits every day, telling them how they have to live their lives. You know, and now we're finding out that the EU had a secret plan to form an EU army, so there wouldn't even be a British army any longer. What kind of crap is this? You know, so the people who are being hurt, well, the people being hurt are the ones who've been hurting, I would like to say just England, but they've been hurting the whole world. We see it in Canada, we see it in the United States, we've seen it everywhere. The elitists have taken charge, and they're telling everybody else how everyone should live their lives. So these are the people who are upset. The people who are leftists, the people who have come to depend upon government for everything, for the government to tell them, like in the case of New York City with Bloomberg, how much soft drinks are allowed to consume, or whether there could be salt on the table, or whether a mother's allowed to use a formula or she has to breastfeed. Like, who the hell are these people? Who elected anybody to tell somebody else how to live their lives? Well, I guess what happens is when you accept money from the government, it's not your money, it's somebody else's money. It's the money that belongs to the makers, to the people who create things, people who create jobs, people who provide real honest to goodness services, people who aren't in the public sector. That's where the money's coming from. So when you're taking their money that the government is so quick to give to you so they can buy votes and tell you how to live your lives, I guess you get a little pissed off. I understand that. Maybe I would be too. But that's not who we are. We're a free people. We make our own decisions. It's funny, I was reading comments made by Prime Minister Trudeau today. This guy's an absolute jerk. He says Canada is in a position to weather the storm. What storm? If he's worried about a storm because of the EU, well, I've got news for him. Europe buys almost nothing from Canada. You know, it's not like they're a big customer of ours. He better be worried about what's going to happen in November, when Donald Trump becomes the President of the United States, and he says exactly what he's going to do. It's going to be America first. So what's going to happen to Canadian industries? What's going to happen to our exports, considering virtually everything we sell, everything that we profit from, goes to the United States of America? So if Trudeau's worried or not worried because, oh, we're in a wonderful position, we're going to weather the storm, as this guy spends money like a drunken sailor, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to sailors, or he spends money like he's won it in the lottery, the people's money, and he's busy giving money to Europe and Asia and Africa. He's busy giving money to everybody to buy love all over the world. And he's not worried because we're well positioned as our dollar keeps on falling and our debt keeps on rising. He's the poster boy for why the Brits left the EU, why they voted. And by the way, it wasn't that close a vote. When you really, honest to goodness, look at the numbers, and I haven't heard this or read this in any media, but Scotland voted pretty much in huge numbers to stay in the EU. But Scotland has no affinity for England. They don't like the British. They've had their own referendum to get out of England. As a matter of fact, they're now talking about another referendum to get out of England. So, you know, discount Scotland and their vote. And then there's Northern Ireland. What do the Northern Irish like about England? You know, it's not like they have an affinity for England either. So they voted in huge numbers to get out of or to stay in the EU. So who voted to get out? It was the British. It was England, and it was Wales. Wales has a strong affinity for England. So the British people, between England and Wales, made a decision, and they made a decision for themselves. They made a decision for their country. And I can't even comprehend how anyone in England, and any person who's part of the British Empire, or not the Empire, but Britain itself, can turn around and be upset because the people have spoken. The people who want their lives back, who want to be independent of the rest of the world. I can't even imagine how anyone could have voted to stay in the EU. It's one of the most corrupt enterprises in the world. Imagine you're upset, and I know people, by the way, Europeans who are within our community right here, who are really upset because England's going to destroy the world. It's like England's going to destroy the universe because they voted for their own freedom. It boggles my mind that there are people who are going to defend bureaucrats. These are nameless, faceless people they'll never meet, they'll never know, who are making incredible decisions on their own country, their own nationality, their own sovereignty. Well, the decision was made, and it was a great decision. And not only was it a great decision for England, it's a great decision for the United States of America as well, because it's waking up a lot of people. A lot of people are looking at this and saying, you know something? If the Brits can do it, we can do it too. And we don't have to be tied to the hip to government. We don't have to have our government trying to buy our votes with our money. It's our country. It's our government. It doesn't matter. You get a whole bunch of 170 members of Congress the other day sitting on the floor like a bunch of 1960s hippies, and they're singing "We Shall Overcome." For what? So that they could take away the people's rights, their Second Amendment rights to own guns, to protect themselves from their government, by the way? Because that's what the Second Amendment was all about. It's not about hunting, and it's not about having a gun so you can go out and target practice. It's about protecting yourself from the excesses of your own government. And so it's a message. This vote was a message to the United States of America, and hopefully to Canada as well. But I think that our Prime Minister is such a dummy. It just goes well over his head. Anyways, I'm Howard Galganov, and this is, well, part of Galganov.com. It's Galganov on video. I hope you like it, and I want you to please tell other people to read Galganov.com. Spread the word. It's a word all about freedom, our individual and independent freedoms. And by the way, as I say, we're very unprofessional at this. Anne is my camera, I'm going to get it right, person. Well, I prefer to say cameraman, but she's really a woman, but she's our camera person. And in the audience, there's Stryker, our German Shepherd, and he's just lying there, and I'm hoping he doesn't bark. In the background, you can see our horses chomping away, at least some of our horses chomping away. And it's all about freedom. It's all about your freedom and my freedom, and getting the sickos from the left out of our face and out of our lives. I'm Howard Galganov. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for spreading the word. Until the next time, have a great, great day.